On this episode, we watched a movie that was feared would never be completed, but turned out to be one of the more significant films in Hollywood history. We watched Jaws, and you're listening to Geeked Out.
Lights down, screen up, here we go. Talking movies everybody knows. The good, the bad, the ones we quote. Welcome to the Geeked Out Podcast Show! Geeked Out! Tell me ready to roll. Breaking down the stories that we all know. Geeked Out! Grab a seat and hang around. Movie lovers getting geeked out. Geeked out!
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Geeked Out. My name is Kyle.
Juan here. What's going on, everyone?
This week, we are going into our second film by Steven Spielberg. We are doing our kind of director mini-series, and right now we are currently on Steven Spielberg. This week was my pick. Juan is the one who selected Spielberg, and I selected one of his earlier movies. I believe this was only his third theatrical released movie, and that is the classic. I will make sure I get that on record. The classic Jaws. So
Kyle certified classic over here.
absolutely, this is you go to Indigo and you get Heather's picks. This is a Kyle's pick.
I have his little sticker on it. Okay. Oh shit, it's a Kyle sticker. Got fucking check that shit out. Show.
So I want to ask you, what is your? I mean, we kind of talked off mic about this a little bit, but what is your history beginning with this movie?
I think I've seen this like in chopped up, not really paying attention as a kid at like at a sleepover.
Okay.
And
Isn't it crazy how many movies we can recollect? Oh, I'd probably watch that at a sleepover.
Oh yeah, I definitely remember it because it was, you hear about I've heard about the legend of Jaws before I've actually seen.
Mhm.
And then growing up, all the references out that so many mediums that reference the movie Jaws. Like my favorite one, one of my favorite, I'm sure there's many that I can't think of, is the Hostess cupcake. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I don't know.
There's a Hostess cupcake commercial where the lady,
Okay.
I think it's a lady, could be a dude, I forget, but this person's in like a tube, right? And they're
Yes,
on the water,
yes, I do remember that.
and they look like they got like little swirls and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my favorite. But yeah, I knew of the legend of Jaws before I see it. And I
Okay.
didn't really see I didn't even see the whole movie, but you know enough of the movie just from references from other things.
Yeah,
So it's like
I'm
spiritually have seen the whole movie, but the when I did my review, it was the first time I'd seen it thoroughly. It's like the whole movie. So it was like I watched it for the first. That's what it felt like.
wow.
Because it's been so long.
That kind of blows me away a little bit. I only say that because this movie has been such a big part of my life and my experience and my love of movies. I mean, I probably first saw this when I was, I don't know, probably 11, 12 years old, something like that.
And it was one of those movies that was like your household had the movie, like your parents owned the movie.
No, it wasn't even that. My parents, I'm sure they like this movie. I don't really think that they're nearly as high on this movie as I am. I think I just saw it on TV. And again, it was the same as you. Like, I would see like references in pop culture, things like that. I mean, obviously, we all know that iconic score, that John Williams, that
That's the MVP. Once again,
oh, dude, the score of this
MVP.
movie is incredible.
Oh yeah, it adds so much more nuance and layers to what's going on, and because of the score, you're able to feel the emotion so much so that yeah, man, you can get chills from that.
Oh, it's incredible. And I will say that, like, so Yeah, so when I watched it, I knew the stuff from pop culture and this and that. And I think one day it just happened to be on TV, and I just sat down and watched it, and I absolutely fell in love with it. One of the funnier stories I do remember specifically, the very first DVD player my parents ever bought, they came home with it, and the movie they bought with it was Jaws. Now, the
Okay,
funniest thing is
that's tight.
I don't know if they still do it, but do you remember like when DVDs were first coming out, and every once in a while the picture would kind of freeze for a fraction of a second? It wasn't anything like that you would notice unless you really saw it happen. It would like maybe just a fraction of a second. It would kind of freeze and then go right back into it. So my
Okay.
parents, we sat down to watch that movie, and it started doing that. And my parents thought there was something wrong with the movie. So they literally just popped it out of the DVD player and returned the movie and never got it. It's not like they exchanged it. They just returned it and never got it again. So,
Damn.
but again, with
I
this
mean,
movie,
that
I probably watch this movie every 2 years, sometimes once a year. I
okay.
will say that, so I will get into it in a second, but this movie came out in 1975. And last year in 2025 was the very hyped 50th anniversary. And I said, when it came back to theaters, and I said, I've loved this movie since I was a kid. I've never gotten the chance because obviously I was not around in 75.
Nope.
So I went and saw this in theaters, and dude, it was everything I ever expected it to be. It was like off the chart experience.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, we all have that one movie that's just it's just special to us.
Yeah. And this movie also,
That's for you.
I mean, just like last week when we talked about Jurassic Park, it kind of invigorated my love of dinosaurs. This did the same thing with me for sharks. I'm one of those guys who
Your
every year,
love for
oh,
sharks
dude, I love sharks every year, and
from
it
this
just,
movie?
yep, it's
This
more of a
movie made you
fascination. Made me
okay.
terrified, but also fascinated.
That's what I'm saying.
And
I'm
next
mainly
week,
terrified.
as our recording happens, next week just happens to be one of my favorite weeks of the year, and it's Discovery Channel's Shark Week, which I'm one of those people who sits down and watches it every year.
That's awesome.
It's like appointment viewing for me. But
All because of a killer shark movie.
yeah,
That's cool. And a lot of people feel that way too, which is interesting. That how much power this movie holds and how much of an effect that it has, not only people, but just Hollywood in general, because this is considered the very first blockbuster
summer
movie, correct?
blockbuster. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of funny when you look back at movies made around this time. Obviously, there were multiple films released, made by all different filmmakers. And yet there's a handful of them that really stick out, and that would like Godfather 1 and 2, Cuckoo's Nest, this, Star Wars, like
Shining.
that still to this day made 50, 55 years ago. And even some of the ones that are older, things like The Wizard of Oz, that still hold up and have this massive following so many years later. It's kind of an incredible phenomenon when you think about it. Like,
Yeah, some movies are just timeless, and it was just based off of just the magic that they were able to create, and I'm glad that we have some of those movies. And yeah, I would definitely consider this in that arena. I have my issues with it only because I came into this a little bit late into the game,
mhm,
and yeah, man, I definitely enjoyed it, but I just didn't have as much fun with it
I get that.
as
And
as you
and
did.
when I really think about the movie, like I've seen this so many times that I can probably just close my eyes and almost watch it in that way. But I can
Okay.
understand how if it's a movie that you haven't kind of grown up with, or even seeing it now as an adult with all the other things that you've seen in the world we live in, the way the movies are made nowadays, I can understand how it might not resonate the same as it did back
Yeah,
when I was a naive film watcher and didn't have the history under my belt type thing that I do now. Um, but yeah, I can
and
completely
yeah,
understand where you're coming from.
and and the fact that this movie spawned so many uh almost like copycats or just movies that were basically the same premise, just with a different type of animal or situation involving a shark. Like
Mhm.
for
I mean,
me,
there's
it's like
so many shark movies.
there's even yeah, like even the ones that don't even involve a shark, but like a shark like creature, like Lake Placid. It's a big ass
A-
alligator or crocodile, one of those. That one was
Anaconda,
great. Anaconda, and yeah, then you had like Deep Blue Sea, which
which I've always laughed and kind of joked as a spiritual sequel just because of the license plate tie-in.
yeah, 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 yeah. But
But yeah,
you
before
know,
we
those movies aren't as serious as this one,
Mhm.
so I was able to just have more fun with those. But this one is definitely a mastercraft in filmmaking.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
just feel like for me, it just feels a little dated.
Okay, and I completely understand that. In certain parts of it, really, and they are. But I mean, again, I just have that nostalgia that I will always
Yeah,
love
no,
this
no, it's
movie. And
exactly.
so before we get into it, I'm going to go through the details real quick and get this boring stuff out of the way. But so the movie was originally released on June 20th of 1975 on an estimated budget of $7 million, and it returned a worldwide box office of 490.7 million. It currently sits on IMDb at an 8.1 out of 10. And the critics on Rotten Tomatoes have it at a 97%, whereas the fans have it at a 98%. Obviously, we are doing Spielberg, so this movie was directed by Steven Spielberg. It was written by Peter Benchley and Carl Gottlieb, based on the novel by Peter Benchley. It stars Roy Scheider, sorry, no N, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Lorraine Gary, and Murray Hamilton. When a massive killer shark unleashes chaos on a beach community off of Long Island, it's up to the local police chief, a marine biologist, and an old seafarer to hunt the beast down. Now, we discussed before we got into that part the score of this movie. The way this movie opens, when you just see basically it's like you're the shark because it's just like a camera going under the water and as if our point of view is of the shark, and you get that incredible score to just slowly seep in to kind of already nothing has happened. You haven't even seen a person, and there's already that tension building. It again, you refer to this as a masterclass in filmmaking. I looked into the fact that Steven Spielberg was only 27 when he made this movie, absolutely floored me with what he was able to accomplish.
Yeah, you could tell this movie um, reflects how hungry Steven Spielberg was in just creating the best possible film that that he could come up with. And I feel like every single classic movie that he has made, his vision was executed perfectly. I feel like this is the movie that he had envisioned, and he executed it perfectly,
Yeah. When
and you could see it.
some of the crazy stories around this movie is it was shot on location in Martha's Vineyard, just off the coast of Massachusetts. And the studio and everybody wanted Spielberg to shoot this movie in like a backlot tank at like Universal, and it was his idea to go shoot it on the ocean. Um, which such a huge undertaking because when you look at like there are several documentaries, one of which I'm going to recommend later, that talk about this movie and the way they did it. It's it's kind of crazy that it even got finished because just the fact of working on the ocean with the shark didn't work, all these problems, they ended up over like 100 days or something over schedule. And I think they were like 1 million or 2 million over budget. And I mean, in the mid 70s, that was a big deal. And I know that I've watched a lot of things where Spielberg was constantly worried that he was going to get fired and just, I mean, the things that all lined up in order for this to get made. I mean, it's kind of surreal in that sense alone.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems like almost every great movie has had a similar type of story. Because Star Wars almost had a similar. They
Mm.
were over budget, and didn't have a whole lot of faith that it was going to meet the deadline, and a bunch of stuff like that. And I'm sure there's other movies that share the same example. And sometimes it works out, and you get something special, and it did in the situation. All the right ingredients worked, even with the adjustment of having to use the shark less. I think it worked out better in the end.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, the shark, them having issues with the shark, famously named Bruce after Steven Spielberg's lawyer. um, the fact that it didn't work forced him to find other ways to create tension, and that's why they used a lot of the score, the different camera angles, the zooms, the all of that stuff that created tension. And if you look at Spielberg's filmography, specifically last week we talked about Jurassic Park, he used a lot of the same techniques when it came to things like the T-Rex, where a lot of the tension building and the terror of that, I guess we'll call it a character, was when you're not even looking at it. And the same thing goes with the shark. I mean, this opening scene of the guy chasing, I don't even know his name, but chasing Chrissy, the girl, on the beach, and then she goes into the water, and the whole thing of the pulling her down and the pulling her side, you have no idea, like, you don't see what's actually got her, but and you can hear the score, the screaming. And just before he does grab her, you get again that POV shot looking up at her, as if our point of view is, again, as if we are the shark. And then all it takes is one yank, she's under the water, and all of a sudden the water is calm all over again. The score cuts out and it's just silent. And it, even in that first, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of the movie, it it just creates a feeling of such tension that lasts for the entire length of the film.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that scene alone is an accomplishment.
Yeah, and I don't know if that this scene is the first time somebody has been pulled into a water by like a shark or some type of water creature, but I feel like every other movie after that has that kind of plot in their movie has this type of scene in there
Mm-hmm.
where somebody gets pulled in, right? And none of them is executed as well as they did in this scene here, and you understand why. This is the OG for a reason. It's because it was highly effective.
I mean, this, and again, this is just the first one. And then, like, in terms of pace of this movie picks up right from minute one, and it doesn't stop until the end. I mean, so we have this first incident, and then we're immediately introduced to our protagonist of the film, Chief Brody, who is the chief of police. I always want to call him a sheriff, but he's not. He's not a sheriff. He's chief of police. And he comes in. He gets called uh, to the beach because the drunk guy basically reports the girl missing, and they find her body, and all you really see is her hand, and then there's a bunch of like hermit crabs and
Crabs.
everything crawling all over her. It's even that alone is a creepy, kind of scary shot, and obviously she
But
has died.
they give you enough to let your imagination fill out the rest.
Yeah.
And that, when it comes to us, just a storytelling aspect, is incredibly effective because your
What's why?
imagination is going to create something that visually isn't going to be.
Well, what's wild to me is that even after this incident, the medical examiner declares, yes, this was a shark attack. And of course, Brody, his response is, well, we're going to close the beaches. I want people to be safe. We can't have people going out in the water when something like this is out there. The mayor and all the I guess the town council, whatever you want to call them, they're all up in arms because it's going to be the 4th of July, and being an island town, they're there for a lot of tourists, a lot of vacationers, things like that. So this weekend, this 4th of July weekend, this holiday weekend, is when they make the majority of their money. And I mean, I can understand that point, but at the same time, they're willing to just play this thing off. Like, he basically coerces the medical examiner to say, you know what, I thought again, it could have been a propeller or like a boat that killed her. Like, I really don't know, because if he closes the beaches, people aren't going to come, which I've always kind of laughed at that, for the simple reason that if the beaches are open and people are swimming, they're not spending any money. If the beach is closed, they're now forced to go into your town and go to all of these little small businesses and spend money. So, as the mayor, wouldn't you almost want the beach to be closed, because that's how you're going to make your money?
Yeah, he wasn't thinking that far ahead, or at least that part of the plan there. No, he just no. You would think, yeah, that logically that would be the case, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a wild thing, and we get Murray Hamilton plays Mayor Vaughn, and he, again, I will say it. I'm sure I'm not the first person to say it in this movie. The shark is not the villain in this movie. The mayor is the mayor,
yeah,
and almost capitalism.
I'd say
Because
so.
if you think about it, the shark is just doing what he does. He lives in the ocean. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when we go swimming, we are entering their territory. And
And well, and yeah, and Richard Dreyfuss' character even mentioned this particular species of shark.
mhm,
It's rare to be in these kind of waters, and it's just a roguelike shark, but still, it's rare, but it's still a thing in these waters here.
yeah, it's absolutely possible. And the selfishness in terms of, because I guarantee, because obviously I don't think he's going to make any money from these tourists, but if he closes the beaches and kind businesses lose money, well, there go his chances for reelection. So it is a purely selfish reason. And even after the next, with the next attacks coming, even after that, when he's in the hospital, he's like whispering to himself, and he's going, I did everything I could do. It's almost like he's anticipating people coming after him, and he's thinking of his excuse to be like, well, I did what I thought was right. You know what I mean? Like, he's preparing for the worst, when all he had to do was just accept Brody's idea, and shut down the beaches. Because when he does end up agreeing to it, everybody gets upset, and then all of a sudden you hear the mayor go, but it's only going to be for 24 hours. I don't want you people to worry. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but I don't think 24 hours is going to buy you jack shit. Like,
No,
because
definitely not.
our next attack and our next big thing, and again, this is probably only like 15 minutes into the movie, is when we get Alex Kittner, the young kid, and everybody's out. Everybody's on the water. Even Brody, his wife, are there, and um, this attack. This is the first time you actually see even a glimpse of the shark fin, and this is might be the goriest um of deaths of any attack in this movie, when he gets the kid.
Yeah, it's gory, but you don't really
It's just blood.
see. Yeah, it's gory, but in a way where you're letting your imagination do
Yeah.
most of the work.
And again,
You
that's
get
where
enough,
the real
yeah, get
terror
enough,
comes from.
but it's just the way that he shoots the scene as the attack's happening and the score, and you're seeing the reactions as everybody. It's still as effective as if you showed everything, actually show the nitty gritty of the attack.
Yeah, and this is where Spielberg utilizes that very famous Hitchcock dolly zoom, where it's like, I believe what it is I believe is he's moving the camera in and actually zooming back. I believe is how it's done. It's I could be
Okay.
wrong on that, but it's that very famous shot with Brody in the chair, when he realizes what's happening and the camera pulls in onto his face. It's a shot that's been mimicked in I don't know how many movies, but
Yeah, yeah, it's a
yeah,
good visual representation of a character's realization in a moment. It's a good way to show that visually.
yeah, and of course you get everybody out of the beaches. You see the destroyed floaty or whatever it is the kid was on, and his mother going, just Alex, like where's my son? And obviously
Oh, he did as hell.
he's not coming back.
He got ate up. He got he got ate the fuck up, girl. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And now this is finally when we get the town saying, okay, yeah, we're gonna like I said, the mayor says we'll close it for 24 hours, and we get the intro of my favorite character in the movie, Quint, uh, as he says,
I didn't
because
like his fucking.
I don't
It's
like
just
the intro with the chalkboard.
I was right,
I
and
like
everybody
I like
just
every time he opens his mouth, but not necessarily the chalkboard, and everyone just turns. But yeah,
then right, and then everybody is silent so he can give his intro monologue there. And
I
I'm
mean,
sorry, my what to me, what adds to the charm of this movie, but it's also a negative, are like the extras. Some of the extras in the movie, because
well,
they're not the best actors,
that's because
and
they're
it
not
kind of
actors.
exactly, and it like takes you out of it in a way, just because sometimes some of them are overacting, and sometimes some of them are underacting, and it's
So
just it takes you
go
out of it a
ahead.
little bit. It just
I can
yeah
understand that.
yeah.
One of the interesting things about this movie is there's only 7 actors in the entire movie. There's 7 actors,
It I
and
believe that.
the eighth guy who's the quote unquote actor is actually one of the writer, Carl Gottlieb. Everybody else is somebody who lived in Martha's Vineyard, who they cast as extras to be as authentic to that island feel as they could.
Yeah, and they do feel like real people, but some of them are, you could tell the being on camera is definitely affecting a little bit of the authenticness of their
Yeah, I
performance.
understand that.
But it's charming though. But it is like some of them, it'll make you giggle. Some with some of the reactions and stuff. But again, it's charming.
One of my favorites comes up in a little bit. I'll mention it when we get there. But
Yeah.
but yeah, Quint shows up, and they've mentioned that Mrs. Kittner has offered a $3,000 reward for anybody to catch and kill the shark that ate her son. And Quint says to him, he goes, I'll do it for you, but I'm not doing it for 3,000. I'll do it for 10.
10 in the
And
bank.
I
Yeah.
like that he just goes, for 10, I'll get you the head, the tail, the whole damn thing. And that's pretty much all it is. He just walks out, and he's kind of leaving it up to the town. Like that's all you get type thing. And through this, we also get interspersed footage of Brody at home, and he's going through all these books because he doesn't know
Oh man.
what he's looking at. All the shark attacks and things like that. And one of my favorite parts of the movie is he asks where Michael is, who's his oldest son, and his wife goes, "Oh, he's outside in his birthday present," which the camera shows turned out to be a little personal sailboat that he's got in the water. And Brody gets up and says to get out, and his wife's like, "Well, just let him. His birthday's tomorrow. Like, just let him enjoy it." And she looks down at the boat, or at the picture, and there's a picture of a shark biting a boat. And she just yells out, "Michael, did you hear your father? Out of the water now!"
Yeah. I mean, even though they're in shallowish water, yeah. I mean, seeing that image.
I love that. And I mean, then you get, again, with the $3,000, you get morons coming out of the woodwork. We get the
Oh
idiots
yeah,
trying
and
to
I wanted
catch
to
the
add
shark with
that
a pot roast.
before that, when he is, reading his book, doing his research, his wife just, comes up behind him and like touches him. And he fucking gets so scared as if
Uh,
like a shark was gonna be behind him. Like a fucking killer. I
I
was
mean,
like,
he's
why
so
are you so scared?
immersed. He's so immersed in his research.
Yeah. I had to laugh at that moment. I was like, all right, bro, you're safe. You're not in the water, bro.
Yeah.
You're
And I mean,
good.
there's this again, when he's looking through those books, it's another thing that I love with the way Spielberg did this. You get to see, you don't necessarily you're not able to necessarily focus on them, but you get the reflections of the book as he's turning the pages in his glasses. So I I, I just love that it's almost like they just took a spotlight, put it on the book to make sure that because you can very clearly see as he's going through and his eyes are kind of getting wider and wider and just like really absorbing what he really could have on his hands here,
Mhm.
how
Cor-
terrifying it could be.
correct. Yeah. Yeah, he definitely was correct. Just it's like his worst fear came true.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, the idiots come out of the woodwork. The next day he goes down to the dock and there's
Fuck yeah. 3,000?
all the, yeah, I don't know
Boy.
what that would be, what money that would be right now. I mean,
That'd probably
I'm,
be like, I'm gonna say 15.
well, I'm going to look it up right now as we're doing this. I'll see if I
Between
can.
10 and 15.
Okay. So today it would be worth $18,600,
Oh.
just over that. So yeah, these people are coming from the main. I'm assuming they're coming from the mainland. There's all these people probably from the island, just getting in boats, and there's guys. There's one guy with fucking just tossing dynamite in the water. Like these guys are
Yeah.
just
I'm
all over
like,
the
oh
place.
shit. I'm like, okay, they gonna get this motherfucker for show. I'm like, okay, why was this shark ever a problem? Y'all got the boys out.
Fucking sticks of
Yeah.
dynamite, just toss it in,
It's
see
like
what happens.
they're gonna kill this guy for sure, this shark. Yeah,
They're gonna kill
no.
something. Is all right. Is right. And when
Yeah,
these
because
people are
yeah, go ahead.
also when these people are getting in the boats, we get Richard Dreyfuss's character Matt Hooper comes from the Oceanographic Institute, and
With his
he's
Canadian tuxedo.
hey, you know what? That was the time, and it fits him. It fits the character well for what he does because we later find out that he's a rich kid, but he also doesn't want to be viewed that way. He kind of wants to. It's like he's got a chip on his shoulder that he wants to be viewed as kind of tough and able to do these things and
Wants to
take
prove
these
himself.
things on. Exactly. And
Mhm.
he comes out and he's he's telling Brody like these guys are going to kill themselves. Like this is ridiculous. And I mean, he's not wrong, but they do end up they catch a shark. They come back and obviously everybody's excited. And even Brody's, oh, there's nothing out there in these waters, anything like this. And
I was like, oh, okay, so the movie's done. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that people. Okay, it's a classic. Okay, cool. And I was like, then I looked at the clock. I'm like, oh no, we're like fucking 16 minutes into the movie. No way.
no, they get, um,
A
so they
tiger
and
shark.
this is when I
Tiger.
said there was a reaction from one of the extras. It's when they're looking at it, like, oh, what kind of shark is it? And Richard Dreyfuss just goes, it's a tiger shark. And it's the guy who turns around and goes,
Oh
a
yeah,
what?
yeah. Just the way he says it. It's like,
It's so
why'd
good.
you say it like that? You
But
non-acting ass.
he's doing his due diligence because he's been brought to the medical examiner to check out the remains, which are small enough to fit in like a 2-foot tub. And he's checking the bite radius on the shark and he's telling Brody, like, there's no way that this is the animal that did that. And obviously he knows what he's doing. He's literally a shark researcher for his job, and nobody wants to listen to him. I mean, none of the townspeople. Brody is starting to kind of be a little convinced.
He hired him. He should.
I mean, I would
Or he
definitely be
brought.
like,
He invited.
I
I don't
need
know
to
if he hired.
listen to what this guy has to say. He knows a hell of a
He's
lot more than I'll ever
he's
know.
the fucking expert. Y'all should listen to it. But that's just stubborn Americans. You know what I'm saying? Especially town folk, small town folk.
Well, and I Hooper's idea is he's like, this isn't the animal, and I'll prove it to you. Let's just cut this thing open and see what's here. And of course, the mayor's like, we're not going to cut this thing open and have that little Kittner boy spill out onto the dock in front of all these people. Which, I mean, he's right, because if whatever chance this was the shark that did it, you certainly don't want that happening.
Mm-mm. No. Yeah, that's
But
yeah.
the kid's mother arrives and she's justifiably pissed. she slaps Brody and she says, "I was told that there was a girl who got killed out here last week. You knew that there was something in these waters and you let people swim anyways." And it's like, well, he tried to close them, but your fucking mayor and your council wouldn't allow it because they'll lose their precious dollar.
But he didn't say that. He kind of just
No,
took it. He kind of just, let her grieve and get that emotion out. And,
it was a hell of a slap though by that actress.
yeah, that's pretty good. I just wish there was more emotion when she discovered her child was eaten
But
up.
I
But
don't
again,
think
I don't
she
think she was
ever.
an actress.
Well, no, but I don't think she ever actually discovered. I think she was just yelling for where he was, and then I think they cut the scene before she actually realized
Now, I
what had
don't
really
know if
happened.
this, yeah, I don't know if the scene would have been more effective if he would have gotten that initial reaction. But then again, you can only get that effective, or if the scene would have only been more effective if you could have gotten an actress to convey that amount of emotion
I
of
think for
losing a
something like
child.
that, you have to pick and choose because if you get her reaction when he's killed, then there's no need to have the slap occur. And I think that the slap
I mean,
and berating him for not allowing the beaches to be open, even though it wasn't his idea, I think that holds more weight than her discovering that he was killed.
okay, okay.
Personally, in my opinion, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could have had both, and I feel like this you could have gotten away with it, just done properly. But like again, who knows? I don't know if it
Yeah,
would
and
have added to it or not.
and obviously, so he's kind of rattled because of this, and we see it in this next scene when he's having dinner, and I like the little moment he has with his youngest son at the dinner table, and then he says to him, "Come give." Emotional scene with the way he says, "Come give dad a kiss," and his son says, "Why?" And he just says, "Because I need it." Like to go through that day being someone who has his kids at home who also go swimming in those waters and things like that. I can understand his emotion of being, I just need to be embraced by my child and because to know that they are safe, that they're, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and immediately after that, Hooper comes over with two bottles of wine. And I love that Scheider opens it, pours himself a tall, almost a pint glass, and then pours like an inch for his wife and an inch for Hooper.
hey, you don't want to be too rude.
I mean, yeah, he give them just a little bit. I'll take the majority. And
Give you a
I
taste.
I like this when they're discussing. He's saying that's not the animal, and we're gonna go find it. We'll cut it open, and then Hooper goes, "Can we do that?" I'm the chief of police. I can do anything I want.
Huh?
But they go, they cut it open, and again, this is where I referenced the license plate, and then they do something that, again, I have a fascination with sharks. I also have an incredible respect towards the animals, as well as a very healthy awareness and fear of them as well.
I'm
I
just
would
scared.
not, dude, fucking going, we're going to go diving at 11 o'clock at night. He's like, oh,
You
we have
know,
to go
like,
out on we're going to go out on the water. And then they get out there and they find a local fisherman's boat. And his solution is, I'm going to dive in under the water and see what I can find. I'm like, no, fuck that. There's no way in the world.
yeah. And like, I understand that there is a considerable or just noticeable amount of black people in this movie, and I understand because ain't no black people gonna be fucking. No, as soon as we hear that there's a shark, we gone. Nah, we gone. They moved out already.
Yeah, I don't
We're
think
out
there's
of
any
here.
of them.
Nah, no, absolutely not. And this probably doubled down on the fear of sharks amongst probably just everyone in general. To be honest, I
Mhm.
think this is the reason why sharks get such a bad rap as like the ultimate predator in the water, even though they're not. It's actually ironic.
I mean,
Uh,
they are the kind of the ultimate predator, but not for like they don't eat humans because they like
But
That was a
they're
big
not the
thing.
apex predator within the waters that they travel in. But when it comes to us, yeah, they are. When they want to hunt us, they become a damn apex predator in the water for
I mean,
sure.
I will say that was one of a real negative thing that came out of the result of this movie is the overwhelming fear that people had because they didn't understand what sharks really were. And as somebody who is very passionate about, um, and I heard it best probably I think it was in the one Jaws documentary that I watched. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm just fighting a little bit of a cold. Um, one of the scientists was saying something like, he's like, sharks don't have hands. They can't grab things to know what it is. The way a shark figures out what something is by biting it, which is usually why, if you ever look at shark attacks on people, yes, some people have unfortunately died due to a shark attack. However, in those attacks, the shark does not eat the person. What it does is it just is an unfortunate area that where they bit would do something like sever an artery or something like that. Sharks attack people because, Hooper says in the movie, the splashing and the effect that people have when they go swimming is something that naturally attracts a shark because it almost mimics the way that an injured seal would be panicking in the water. It's the same splash type. And also, again, from other things that I've watched, a lot of surfers who are attacked, if you look up from a decent distance under the water up at the surface, a surfboard with just hands and legs sticking out of either
Looks like
side
a seal.
could
Yeah.
be construed as a seal. So again, those are kind of all the unfortunate things. And one of the big backlashes after this movie is the fear of sharks was astronomical. And it also, a lot of people took it as almost like a license to hunt and kill sharks. And it actually decimated the shark population around the world, that people have now started to realize what these animals are. And there's been more conservation efforts and things like that. But yeah, it was a really unfortunate thing that ended up coming out of the movie. But I mean, when you're uninformed, that's kind of expected that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you pretty much whatever information you get from people take from like movies, they believe it to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, without any root. And yeah, unfortunately, sharks took the blunt of that, and things have turned around. With the help of Shark Week and things like. Yeah, I'm glad that the actual threat in the ocean is more known now, even though it's
Mm-hmm.
cute. I'm looking at you, orcas.
No, those things are fucking terrifying.
If this was an orca, that I mean, again, a shark looks more terrifying, but an orca would have been crazy.
Orcas eat. I mean, again, getting off into a tangent. Again, the documentaries that I've watched, there were a pair of orcas around, I believe it was South Africa, who were literally targeting great white sharks. They would attack them, bite them in a specific spot that would literally just eat their liver, and then the great white shark would die and wash up on shore.
I wonder if there is like a Jaws equivalent, but for orcas.
I'm
I'm
sure
sure
there
there
is.
is, and it's probably not done as well at all.
Well,
But
you want to learn
I
about
would do
orcas?
that.
I mean,
If I were to make a movie, it would be like an updated Jaws, but with an orca.
well, I mean, if you ever, again, a bit off topic, but have you ever watched the documentary Blackfish about
Why the fish gotta be black, bro?
the
Why the
whale
fish gotta
at
be black, man?
SeaWorld that killed like 4 trainers or something like that?
Oh yeah, I remember that. They were in the news every couple of years.
Like,
Trainer
and
getting drowned.
there's a whole
They just drown them.
there's a whole documentary. I believe it's on either Tubi or Pluto, one of those free but there's a documentary. It's called Blackfish. It's a really good. It's kind of hard to
Blackfish.
watch some of it,
You
but
didn't have to call it that.
it's about an orca.
Call it Blackfish. Yeah. Anyways,
Well, I mean, back to the movie. We get one more. I mean, it's crazy that at this point they still have not decided to really as to do what they should and get Quint to go hunt this thing or close the beaches or anything like that because they are still open. And this is when we get our first real look at the shark. They've got people swimming, and then they've got a bunch of I think they're like Coast Guard and different law agencies out in the water. They've got a helicopter overhead trying to spot any sharks in the water to keep people safe. And we get these two idiotic little kids playing a prank with a cardboard fin.
I had a feeling it wasn't the shark because it was too chill. It
Yeah,
just pulled. It just was like pulled up right next to him and didn't do shit. I was like, all right, this ain't it.
but it's funny that they surface and then you've got like 6 rifles pointed at these like 10-year-old kids, and the one kid just immediately goes, "He made me do it."
And I felt like they would have shot into the water a lot earlier, even if they didn't really see just by seeing the fin alone. I
Yeah,
feel
by
like
panic.
they would have unleashed. And yeah, they only did it because they they didn't know that they were kids. But
Yeah,
knowing how people are with guns, I feel like that I don't think that would have been as realistic just
yeah,
because of the nature of people with guns and just the anxiety and tense and wanting to kill this shark. I feel like people were so on edge that somebody would have shot.
yeah. You would think so, but I mean,
Yeah.
thankfully they didn't because these two idiots. But then the actual shark is going into the estuary, which they call the quote unquote the pond, which is where Michael, Chief Brody's son, and his 2 buddies are with his boat. And this is the scene where we first really get to see the shark. And as they're trying to do something, another guy comes up on a rowboat to make sure the kids are okay. And the shark knocks over his boat. And first we see his severed leg sink to the bottom. And then we see him literally in the jaws of the shark. And I mean, I know what's been said about this shark. In scenes like this thing looks like a real, like it looks real. Later scenes in the movie, not so much, but something like this, especially with it on its side with the guy in his mouth, it looks like a real shark. And I mean, it's terrifying. The screams, the blood. Um, it's a very visceral scene to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time, even if it's there is an actual attack or a potential attack involving the shark, it's played it's just executed well every single time because it's the combinations of the score, the camera work, and just the overall direction of the scene.
Yeah, and we get obviously Michael is in the water. He's even the camera just on his face. He's completely terrified. We later see him pulled out of the water almost in a comatose state of shock. And at the hospital, Brody finally pulls the mayor aside and he basically said, this is when the mayor is kind of whispering to himself how he can spin this, how it's not his fault. And Brody basically says to him, like, you're going to do what you do best. You're going to sign this. I forget what he calls it, but you're basically going to sign this form, and I'm going to hire Quint to go kill the shark. And this is where the last act of the movie really kicks off because we're going to have Quint, Brody, and Hooper go out on Quint's boat, aptly named, as you had said, the Orca.
Which is
And
funny,
they,
yeah. I wonder if that was intentional because orca is a natural predator of the great white shark,
It
and the fact
I
that they're are the overall and we're the overall apex predator, and we're on a boat named after the ocean's apex predator. I think it was pretty much intentional.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. And again, I haven't read the book. Again, just like Jurassic Park, I want to read it. I just haven't gotten around to it. I don't know if that's the name in the book. In the book, I know there are a lot of things that are different. The book has, I think there's a subplot that has to do with like the mafia. There's
Oh, oh shit!
there's a part in the book where Hooper actually has an affair with Brody's wife.
All right, no, that's too
Like
much. All right.
so I'm glad they didn't add that stuff into the movie because
No, that would have been no so
I think the
inflated.
movie is great just like it is. But here's where you really get, I said earlier how Hooper wants to kind of prove himself. You really get this when he's introduced to Quinn and he's telling him, "Oh, let me see your hands. Oh, you got city hands. You've been counting money all your life, and tie me a sheepshank knot and all this other stuff." And Hooper obviously is not having it because he even says like, "I don't need this working class hero crap." Like more like almost like saying like, "I know my shit. You guys are gonna need me out there." And
I'm a sheriff, damn it.
I love that Quint says take him for ballast, which is just like take him for the weight that he's going to add to the boat.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. That's Quint. It's Quint.
Quint, yeah,
Okay, I thought it was
played by
Quinn.
no Quint, played by the great and late Robert Shaw, who actually only passed away a few years after this movie came out, unfortunately.
Oh,
But
jeez.
yeah, I guess in the filming of this movie, him and Richard Dreyfuss kind of did butt heads a lot, even off screen, and I believe that it really
Really?
added to their characters on screen.
Certain moments that would make sense if they there was some off-screen issues between the two.
Yeah, it's
One
and
scene
this
in
whole
particular.
as much as I love the all the stuff leading up to this, from basically the moment they leave till the end is probably my favorite parts of the movie when they're out hunting the shark, and it all goes by very quickly. They're really only out there a couple days. Where I don't know again in the book how long they are out. I do know in the book, however, they come back to the island at night and then they go back out the next morning. But Spielberg decided that he wanted to keep them out overnight because it really it really gives a sense of you're kind of on your own, and it's kind of like just these three guys against this force of nature uh, that they have to take down more or less. And it's such an interesting way that they go about trying to catch the shark. I still, even to this day, I sit there and watch, and I'm going, when you finally do see the shark a little later, and they say it's a 25 footer, 3 tons. And I'm like, dude, you were trying to catch this thing with a fishing rod?
Yeah, I really didn't know the point of that fishing rod. I was like, you're clearly not going to catch this fucking thing with that. And I hope you
Like,
don't know that you're going to catch this thing with that fishing rod. I thought it was just
yeah,
part of a master plan of trapping it.
yeah, I don't know if
I
he
didn't
was
know.
trying to get it to come close or what he was doing, because what they end up doing is shooting it with the harpoons and they attach these empty barrels basically, which makes sense because any of us that have ever tried to take any kind of a ball or something like that and hold it under the water, the first thing it wants to do is shoot right back up. So that's kind of the way that he's thinking is you shoot these barrels into it, and if it keeps trying to dive under, it's going to eventually tire itself out trying to fight against that barrel wanting to surface.
Mhm.
I don't think when I was a kid I understood. I was like, why are they I think what I thought is they were treating it almost like a bobber when you go fishing as a kid. And I think they were. I think I thought that they were just using it as like when we see the barrel, we know he's near us, almost like a buoy that he's attached to. But obviously
Yeah.
now I know that they're using it to try and hunt. And again, we talk about the score. When the shark is hunting, we get that very ominous dun, dun, dun. But when they are chasing and hunting the shark, the music almost becomes triumphant, like they're on some like seafaring adventure. I found
Hmm.
that as a very interesting juxtaposition when it comes to the way the score is designed. Of course, by the great Oscar-winning John Williams.
Yeah, yeah. It just goes to show you what a score can do to elevate scenes. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, and that's the combination of Spielberg and John Williams, man. They make magic together
and they
because
have been for
his
50 years.
his direction with his score are able to make scenes that just immerse you so much into the story and what's being shown that yeah, man, you feel everything that you're supposed to, and it's just done brilliantly.
What did you think of now? You said you've seen clips of this before. Had you ever seen this shot of the shark popping out?
Popping off his
Or
boat?
no, not that part. When he first pops his head out, when we get the line when he's chumming the water.
Uh, maybe. Wait, say that again. Sorry.
So we've got Quint tells the whole scene is Quint tells Hooper to drive the boat slow ahead and for Brody to continue chumming the water. And it's a line where he says, slow ahead. I can go slow ahead. Why don't you come in here and chum some of this shit? And the shark pops up. And this is when we get the very famous scene of Brody standing up real quick into like coming into frame with the cigarette dangling from his mouth. And we get the slow back up into the cabin and Quint sitting there in the probably the most famous line in this movie when he's just looking out and he says, "You're going to need a bigger boat."
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Had you seen that before or just kind of heard the line?
I definitely heard that line like a million times, just from different mediums and TV shows and other movies and cartoons.
What I always find funny is somebody like, I guess I didn't even realize this, but I guess that line is like misquoted all the time, just like the "I am your father" from Star Wars. Because
Yeah,
I guess a
really.
lot of people think that he says we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
I don't know why that. I've never understood why that kind of stuff always happens like that, especially with like an iconic line. And yet we have Arnold with his Austrian accent. Everyone knows exactly what he says.
Oh yeah. And they always try to do the voice every time.
I'll refrain this time, but I do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we get so that's the famous line there. They've got, I think at this point they've got two barrels. Oh no, man, I think they just have the one in him. That and then it's nighttime and they're on the boat. They're drinking and they're trading. This is again another Hooper trying to prove himself. They're trading stories of how they got
I
certain
know about
scars.
how
Of
I got these scars.
it's kind of like that. He's oh, I got bit by an eel here. I got bit by a shark here. I got.
You see my leg? Oh yeah, look at this leg.
I'll
I'll put
drink
my
to
leg
your
over
leg.
your leg. I'm gonna get real
I,
close. Put my leg
I
on top of your leg.
I did like when Richard Dreyfuss just points to his chest and he mentions a woman. He goes, "She broke my heart," and his laugh every time I crack up when I hear him laugh.
Yeah, it
And
almost feels like it was improvised or like they just went with just a more loose scene take, and it was effective because it actually um you get to see the personalities, the chemistry with the characters, and it's a fun little moment. And yeah,
mhm,
what people that have never seen this movie, and they might, especially the younger crowd, they might find this movie a little boring just because this movie takes a lot of time to breathe
Yeah.
before we get those moments with the shark. And it works for me, especially in those type of moments when we actually get some type of levity and personality and with the characters. But yeah, yeah, no, this movie it definitely breathes a lot more than most modern movies do now.
Yeah, it takes its time to build the tension. It uses the silence to really set the scene for scenes to take place. And that is very important with stuff like this. And it's, again, like you say, it's something that I think we've lost in some of the modern movies that we have, because nowadays it's like if there's no dialogue, there's got to be a car chase or a
It's
gunfight
like
or an
it's
explosion or
or
a joke that's being made.
they feel like the studios feel like they have to constantly keep the audience's attention with
Mm,
something on screen flashing or something that'll keep
yeah.
your attention, like the equivalent of just dangling keys in front of the baby. But you don't need that. You can give us enough dialogue, enough uh, slow burn moments that, yeah, I mean, it's not going to work for every movie, but for this one, it does.
Yeah, I mean, Spielberg proved it that with this movie that you don't need something constantly going on screen to make it entertaining and to make people enjoy it.
Hmm.
And we get into this. To me, a movie about a shark attack and a hunting of a shark. My favorite scene, and I know we'll get into the categories later, but I'm going to give this one away. My favorite scene of this movie is this one on the boat when Quint tells the story of the USS Indianapolis. Now, if this is something that you're not familiar with, what he says is true. It was a battleship, a U.S. Navy battleship that delivered parts for the bomb that hit. I believe it was Hiroshima in World War II, and they were taken out by a Japanese sub. And it's exactly like he says. Hundreds of people went into the water and they were ravaged by sharks. And it really sets up it kind of gives a reason why he has this hatred for them and why he would dedicate his life to basically becoming this shark hunter and killer as almost like revenge for all these people that were killed in this one incident that he was a part of. And
That was a crazy flashback.
but again, you don't need it because you've got
No, you
the
don't. You
the
don't.
way
And
Robert Shaw. Yeah, modern
modern
movie
movie.
would definitely go back and do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the way Robert Shaw delivers this speech, it's, I mean, it's chilling to watch.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
it's
probably
good.
my
It's really
favorite
good.
part of the entire movie.
Huh. Okay.
That is immediately interrupted by the shark attacking the boat.
Right.
Because now
Convenient.
because again, it's them, they're getting to know each other. They're kind of having, like you said, this little bit of levity. And then as soon as his speech, he says something serious. And then it's like, oh, we're back into this. We get the outside shot of the barrel surfacing. And then the shark just seems to start ramming into the boat. And they spring a leak. They're kind of panicking. They're going. I think that this is when they shoot another barrel, I believe, into him, or maybe that's a little bit later. But yeah, it's it's like as soon as this scene ends, it's like Spielberg put his foot on the gas pedal and went, "We are going full bore to the end of this movie from here on out," because it's
Yeah.
just a massive chaos during this
Definitely
whole
hit the
thing.
gas. Yeah, he definitely felt like he hit the gas on that in that third act. Definitely. And it's felt, but it's not a thing against the movie.
Yeah, and as the day, the night turns into day, we keep getting another scene of them chasing it. They end up putting three barrels, three harpoons, three barrels into the shark, and still doesn't seem to be working. So now all of a sudden Hooper says, I think I've got something that could kill him if I could get him in the mouth. So we're going to put this shark cage together.
And the fact that people to this day do that shit, if I seen this movie first, because I always thought, yeah, I might do something like that. Nah, I'm not
Nope.
doing that. I'm not doing that shit.
Nope.
Wow. Can I have a cage within a cage just in case? and then I'll also need an Iron Man suit. Can you
Nope,
get
not
me
doing
those
it.
3 things? I think I'll be able to do that. But
Not doing it.
no.
And even here when
No,
Hooper's
you're the
this,
shark guy though. You
yeah,
wouldn't want to be face to face with your friend?
I will say what I would love to do is I would love to be out on the water with like a research team doing like where they're like tagging the sharks, like where they basically poke the tag into the shark or they shoot it into the shark for research. I wouldn't want to go swimming with them.
Mm,
No, thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, me neither. I don't understand why people do that, but it's the adrenaline. I get it
Dude,
in a sense.
watch some Shark Week next week and you'll be fascinated if you haven't seen it before.
The only sharks I fuck with are from the street, okay? And they eat hamburgers.
Oh yeah, the turtles was pizza.
Yeah, they fuck with hamburgers.
So again, like Hooper is this intellectual who's studied sharks his whole life. He climbs into the cage, and he goes to try and spit onto his mask to wipe it, and he says, I have no spit." That is real terror when you are so scared of what you're about to do that you can't even produce spit into your mouth. Like,
I didn't know that was a thing, but yeah,
I mean,
I could see that.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that's one way that they really
I'm sure it
show
is.
where
Yeah,
he's like, oh yeah, I can do this, and then he actually gets to that moment, and it's like, I can do this.
yeah, he gets less sure of himself the deeper he gets into it. Which
And
yeah, I can totally understand that after seeing the shark, right? At this point, they've seen it, right? They know they've sized him up already.
oh yeah, they've seen him.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I ain't getting that bit.
And what I know, I've never understood is he gets down there and he's got this spear that he's loaded with this, I forget what he calls it, but he says, if I can get in its mouth, I can stab him and this chemical will kill him. Well, that's all well and good, but when he actually is down there, he's holding the spear outside of the cage. And what ends up happening is the shark rams the cage and he immediately drops it onto the ocean floor. I get that he's like obviously terrified. I would be too. But at least if he had the spear inside the cage and dropped it, he could still reach down and maybe be able to find it in this moment of panic, obviously. But that doesn't
Yeah,
happen. And during this scene where we see the shark attacking the cage and kind of swimming by the camera, they actually intercut some real footage of actual gray white sharks that was taken by um, two people who made a documentary a few years earlier called Blue Water White Death. And Spielberg hired them to go and shoot just some stuff that he could kind of intersperse. And so a couple of those scenes when they're under the water, the shark doesn't look quite as big. It's because it's that quick little scene is a real shark, and sharks don't get to be this big in real life.
okay.
But yeah, so
Yeah, I didn't know there was size difference. I just seen a
I
shark. I don't
I
really,
mean I
don't
noticed
need to
it because
size it up.
I've seen those like the documentaries before, so I know that they're there. But yeah, so they end up bringing the cage up. It's completely destroyed. They think Hooper's dead. And this is when we get the scene you had mentioned earlier when the shark jumps onto the boat.
Yeah,
Now,
I thought he was gonna start talking. Like, hey, bitches, fucking
so I
eat
will
ya.
say one of the coolest things you could see is great white sharks do actually have a hunting skill that they call breaching, which is, and they've done several different things during Shark Week. They're called air jaws. And basically, what they do is if they see a seal on the surface, they will swim straight up at it, hit the seal, and launch themselves out of the water. And it basically, when they hit the seal, it basically incapacitates them and it allows them to kill the seal and eat it very easily. I think that's what they were trying to replicate here. Unfortunately, I don't think a shark has ever breached the water to land on a boat like this one does. And this is the one time when I was like, this looks a little bad.
Yeah, it looks a little silly, but it's a product of its time. That's the
However,
thing.
when Quint is sliding into the mouth, it doesn't look nearly as bad. I thought it looked bad more when they do the wide shot and you see like half of the animal's body in the boat and the other half is below the water. Because it almost looked like the shark bends, which sharks don't do.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is where we get Quint slides down the boat into the shark's mouth and it just lets out this absolute guttural, terrifying scream.
He bit fucking into him. I thought he bit his leg, but he got like his stomach and shit.
Yeah, I think he was right
I was
around.
like, okay, he bit his leg. I'm like, okay. I was like, okay. I thought he bit his leg. I'm like, okay, he might survive. He might get his leg. He might not have a leg, but he might be good. Nope.
No.
Got that nigga. Got that guy. I was like, oh no.
And you know it's bad when he starts spitting up the blood because it's like, well, that
he
means
like
he got you in the midsection.
you hear the sound of him clamping down harder and followed immediately by the blood in the mouth. You're like, yeah, he's done. After that, he done. Yeah. That was the straight nail in the coffin right there.
And one of the little, I believe, because this movie has kind of always been viewed as a little bit of a horror movie. And I feel that one of the little things that Spielberg did to kind of help along with that is right away in the next shot, we get Brody's in the cabin and the shark busts through the window. And when it starts opening its mouth, you can see like little pieces of meat, which you assume is Quint, like dangling from its teeth. And I feel like that was almost like Spielberg added that to be like, we almost need it to look scarier.
But it would be, I mean, if
terrifying.
If a shark just ate somebody, it would have some meat in its teeth, right?
Theoretically,
I'm glad that
so.
and I'm glad it wasn't anything that was to make it obvious that it was Quint, like his fucking,
like his hat or something.
Something. You'd be like, all right, we get it. You got 8. I'm glad it was just meat because it just adds to the savageness of this monster.
And Brody's immediate defense is he just throws one of the scuba tanks in its mouth because earlier in the movie, he had been told by Hooper that these are pressurized tanks. They'll explode if they're ruptured in the wrong way and whatever. So he immediately somehow comes up with this plan, puts it in his mouth, climbs up onto the crow's nest as it's like falling into the water because the ship is clearly now sinking at this point. And we get this climactic moment of the shark swimming to him, and you just keep hearing Brody going, "Show me the tank, show me the tank." And you get his, I guess, hero line that before you shoot the bad guy, he says, "Smile, you son of a," and he fires and the whole thing explodes, which unfortunately wouldn't happen. Mythbusters proved that doesn't work. But for the sake of this,
real?
Yeah, pressurized air tanks will not explode if they're shot.
That's bullshit.
They will. You could turn them into like a rocket, like they'll shoot the air out, but they won't explode. Thanks to Adam and Jamie on Mythbusters for that one.
I shouldn't even have aired that episode, man. I should just let the science just let us live in that lie, man. Damn.
But I mean, in the world of this movie, it's
movie physics. It's movie physics.
You're invested in this enough that you believe it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Brody is ecstatic. He's screaming for joy, and then Hooper just all of a sudden appears out of the water, like, "Did we win?"
What's up, guys?
And just swims over to him.
he fucking popped up like, hey, like nothing was wrong. What's going on, guys? I mean, I
And
get it though. I would have been hiding my ass in that water as long as I could too.
100%. And all he says is he kind of looks around and he just goes, Quint. And Brody just kind of gives him a little head
Nah,
shake, like,
nah, you don't.
no. And so then
No.
they grab I don't know how they actually attached them, but they somehow attach two of the barrels and the two of them just start swimming back to shore. And I love that the last line of the movie is Brody, because they talked earlier in the movie that he has like a phobia of the water and things like that. And he says that to Hooper. He says, I used to hate the water. And he just kind of goes, yeah, I can't imagine why.
Yeah, me neither. He hasn't seen this movie. He didn't see Jaws yet. He lived it, but yeah,
Yeah. And
mostly seen it.
that's the end of the movie. That's the end of Jaws. So I think we can move into our categories unless there was something else you wanted to bring up that we didn't touch on.
No, I see. I'm good.
Your hatred for the extras.
I didn't say. No, they don't. I don't. I don't hate them. They're just clearly extras.
Yeah, they're not
It's
actors.
charming. They're
They're
charming. They're
townsfolk.
charming. They're charming. But it does, it takes. It is a critique that I have of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, so for our first category of trading faces recasting, I put nothing. I think because I couldn't even think of who would do it nowadays. The only thing that would came to my mind, everybody who I thought of for somebody like Quint is too old. Like I was like, oh, like Tommy Lee Jones. Well, no, he's too old. Like he's too old because like he would be a good grizzled kind of um
You gotta have. He's gotta nail the accent. You got. It's really.
oh
It's
the
personality. It definitely is just the way you speak.
I love his voice in this movie. It's probably the most iconic thing about his character. But
So you need like
I
an actor in his 50s that is I could see like Pierce Brosnan maybe. He'd be too pretty, but
yeah,
like
I mean,
that caliber, that age range
you
and
know who
caliber
could
of actor.
you know who could do it for somebody, and I just say this because of like he's Shakespearean trained. He's such a great actor in terms of like disappearing into the characters he plays. Is Kenneth Branagh. I don't know if you could get him grizzled and miserable enough,
Yeah, you can. Yeah, no,
but
he's
I
good.
think
He's good.
Gary
Yeah, he could.
Oldman might be able to do it.
He could do anything.
Now that I'm
Actually,
thinking about it,
to me, Gary Oldman is like, I think he's the greatest actor of all time. He's there's an argument for it, just for the fact that he's able to disappear into a character. You don't
dude,
see the actor, no, and
I've been rewatching.
the
I've been
ability to do
rewatching
that.
Friends, and the couple episodes that he is on the show Friends, I almost completely forgot about. But he's so good.
Yeah, man, and the ability to just to to where you see the character, not the actor, is a skill that I don't think gets talked about as much. I can't give
Now
you a
everybody wants to
great.
talk about Daniel Day-Lewis. Or
I yeah, exactly. But I give it to Gary Oldman, man, for the same reason that people gave it to
I mean, I mean, shit. On that note, Daniel Day-Lewis
Daniel
could
Day
play
Lewis.
Quint.
Yeah, of course, but he'd get into character too much. He'd
Yeah,
actually be hunting fucking sharks for just a year.
yeah. Okay, well, let's go to scene obsession. What was I already told you my favorite scene is the Indianapolis story. What's your favorite scene of this movie?
Honestly, besides just like the third act or the final act with the shark there, uh, them comparing scars. This is a real
Yeah.
human moment. Um, chemistry is displayed, great acting, and the fact that those two actors did not like each other and it did not come across at all in that in that scene. It became one of my favorites.
So your favorite scene leads into my favorite scene. What about scene regression? Your least favorite?
Quinn's intro,
The
just
nails on the
because,
chalkboard?
yeah, get that shit out of my face. I'm sorry.
No, I can
And like,
completely
because I
understand
had
that.
my TV on loud as fuck, and that shit came on, and it was like I couldn't skip it. I took the brunt of it. That
That's
shit
like
sucked.
that's like watching stuff on Prime or like Netflix. I have the cheapest subscription, so I get the ads, and every once in a while the ads come on, and they're 3 times as loud as whatever I'm watching.
That's how commercials always were, right? That's what I hated about commercials with cable.
Yeah.
But it's a strategy.
Oh yeah. Well, my worst scene is just when the shark initially jumps on the boat. It just that's
It just flops off. It
that
looks
that's the one
that
moment in the movie where I'm
clearly
kind
is
of
ugly.
taken out of it.
Yeah,
What about
but
your favorite quote?
I
Oh,
feel
sorry,
like
go
you
ahead.
couldn't. I feel like practical is the only way to go because I
100%.
feel like if you did that with CG, it would look even more ridiculous.
Well, there's some of the sequels of this movie because there were 3 sequels.
And
Um,
one of them, the fucking shark
Hunts,
hunts the family down on some revenge shit.
but it's the shark's baby or something. I've never
Of
seen
course, because this one's clearly dead. It's
I've never
fucking
seen any of the sequels, but yes, I do know that in Jaws: The Revenge, the fourth one,
what in the?
it's hunting down Brody's wife.
It's like where did when how did we get here? How did
Did
we get here?
I
The
also will
shark
say
is
that
hunting something. Okay, all right.
I believe it's the third movie. Um, I
Is that the
believe it's
one
the
with the
third movie. Michael Caine
Michael Caine?
is in that movie, and I remember hearing it's either that one or the second one, whichever one he's in, but he was quoted as saying, "I've never seen the movie, but I love the house that it bought me."
Yeah, I think it was. I don't know. I want to say it's the third one. Isn't that 3D?
Yeah, that's the one where Dennis Quaid plays a grown-up version of Brody's oldest son, and
Oh,
it comes
Jesus
into
Christ!
like a sea world. The shark somehow infiltrates like a sea world type theme park.
Oh my God! And it got made like that was the pitch, and
Oh,
studios was like, "Yes,
it got made
make
all
it."
right.
Good God! You could have made some decent sequels
100% you could have. I mean,
if you
or you
would have
could have just
just put
left
in
this
the
one alone.
effort. Yeah, you could have
Okay, so
changed the setting and the characters and keep the shark attack, and yeah, you could have some successful sequel. No,
well,
no.
what's your quotable moment? Your favorite quote of this movie?
That.
I mean,
I mean, we're gonna need a bigger.
the bigger
Sorry,
boat. Yeah,
need a bigger boat, but I didn't really. I don't think I wrote a favorite quote, to be honest.
I mean, you're gonna need a bigger boat. I feel like it's kind of the obvious. Like it's the one that it's like I'll be back from Terminator. Like
But
it
honestly,
transcends this movie.
but the one, yeah, even the one you said with the because I need it, the kiss, yeah, that's actually pretty.
Yeah,
I'd say
come
that's
give
up there
dad
too.
come give dad a kiss. Why? Because I need it.
Mhm.
I actually one of mine is the song that Quint is singing when he's farewell and adieu, my fair Spanish ladies. Every time I watch this movie, that little bit that he sings gets stuck in my head for days. Every time.
Oh, really?
I think it's either that or I love when when Brody's all pissed because he has to keep doing the chum, and he said just before the shark pops up and he says, "I can go slow ahead. You come down here and chum some of this shit."
Yeah,
But
that was a good line.
and who do you have down as the standout performance in this movie? I give it to Robert Shaw personally because without Quint, to me, this movie is drastically different.
I'd give it to um Richard Dreyfuss, I think,
Okay,
because his
I
ability to
was
play off the
thinking,
other two leads. He displayed. I don't know. He was charming, and he was able to convey the emotions pretty well.
mhm.
And yeah, he was just great on screen. And I just liked
he
his
did
personality and his charm.
he did kind of embody that rich kid with a chip on his shoulder too, in a lot of scenes.
Yeah,
Now,
it wasn't overplayed or anything, but it
now
definitely
in
did well.
terms of our chemistry check, I really don't. I mean, we don't necessarily have to. But I just put the three of them on the boat because, again, there's only 8 actors in this entire movie, and I don't think many of them have enough scenes together aside from these three that you could really even establish a ton of chemistry.
Hmm.
I mean, Brody and his wife, Lorraine Gary and Roy Scheider, was certainly believable that they were husband and wife, and I can't stress enough how glad I am that they abolished that affair storyline from the book because that would have ruined the whole fucking thing.
It was, yeah. I mean, they could have hinted towards it if they wanted to, to do that. Have the connection of him and his wife not as strong, and a whole lot of subtext there, but they didn't. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't. They didn't need to because it wasn't for this kind of story that they're telling. It was completely unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, again, like I said, if you don't have anything else to add, I think that's going to wrap it up here for our discussion on Jaws, and we can probably move into our final thoughts and ratings and recommendations.
Let's do it.
Uh, this was my movie, so I'll go first. Anybody listening, I think you guys can tell what my opinions on this movie are. This is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. Anytime if it was on TV, regardless of what part it's at, I could just sit down and watch it any day of the week. It's a super fun movie. It's the direction, which is what we're kind of talking about in this series. The direction of Spielberg is second to none, and the fact that he did this when he was just 27 years old, and this movie is just kind of the beginning portion of his career and what he would end up going on to do. It's kind of mind blowing. And again, like we had said, with the shark not working, ended up being kind of a blessing in disguise because it forced him to create the tension, the fear in other ways where we don't quite see it. And that's where we get that amazing score by John Williams, the Oscar winning score by John Williams. The acting done by the actual actors is also done very well. Um, and aside from Richard Dreyfuss, this is really the only movie that I've ever seen any of them in. Roy Scheider, Murray, I think it's the only thing I've ever seen Murray Hamilton in, Robert Shaw, anything like that. Uh, but I think all of them give stellar performances. Again, I think Robert Shaw kind of outshines everybody as Quint, but overall, this movie is a lot of fun to look at, to watch. It's a thrill ride from beginning to end. One of my favorites of all time. I would recommend this to everybody to watch, and I'm going to give this an absolute 10 out of 10. To me, even in a talk show interview, Quentin Tarantino referred to this as he thinks Jaws is what he considers the definition of a perfect movie, and I could not agree with him.
Yeah, yeah. One of the yeah, I definitely agree for the most part with what you're saying, what you've said. Yeah, I mean, Jaws definitely is. I would say, even though it does have a giant shark, I think it's most remembered because Steven Spielberg understands that suspense is about showing the monster so much. It's about making the audience fear when it might appear, and I think he does that brilliantly in every scene that is being displayed. Uh, John Williams' score, I think it's the Secret Weapon. Um, that combined with the direction, I think it's just such a phenomenal outcome every single time they get together. Uh, the chemistry between Roy Schneider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss, I think, carries the second half of this film. Absolutely. Uh, it is a bit of a slow burn compared to modern blockbusters, but that it works for this movie, but not some people might not enjoy that part of the movie, and that combined with the some of the extras, it's a little silly at times. Um, and it definitely takes you out of the immersion. But every single time the sharks appears, you're pulled right back in, and so much so of the direction of this movie is displayed here. And for me, I give this a 8.5 out of 10. I would recommend it if you haven't seen this movie in particular, but you are familiar with other movies that have killer animal, and you're dealing with the water. I would only recommend it to people that can handle a slow burn type of movie. It'd be hard to recommend this to anybody that's born after 2000. But even still, I would say give it a shot because it is a good movie. It is refreshing because it's not as comparable to modern blockbusters, the way it's structured. And yeah, 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. And before we move on, I just want to quickly, I had mentioned earlier the documentary that I was talking about. It is actually that I want to recommend to people. It's called Jaws at 50, I think it's the definitive look. It came out last year. It's on Disney Plus, and it has interviews both current as well as back when the movie was made with a lot of the people in the movie. Spielberg, John Williams. It talks a lot about how the movie was made, and I just think it's a good documentary for anybody who's a fan of this movie to check out. So, that being said, that's going to end us on this episode of Jaws, and next week we are going to be watching another Steven Spielberg movie. This time is going to be Juan's pick. So, Juan, why don't you tell us what we're going to be watching?
Oh shit, it's my pick? Oh fuck. I'm just fine. I picked probably the obvious choice when it comes to Steven Spielberg movies. If we're going to have it on a recommendation list, this is one of the ones that pops up.
AI?
Yeah, I mean, there are 2 letters involved.
Really?
This movie has had so many copycats, and it's still being done today with the boy who befriends, in this particular one, an alien. But the fact that it spawned so many copycats of the boy meets an alien, or a boy meets a monster, or a boy meets something, ... shows you how impactful and incredible the original source is. So our for next week is none other than E.T.
That's a movie I don't have a lot of history with. I haven't seen that in years.
Oh, for real? I'd say don't watch it with the girls. I don't think they're ready.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be that. I do remember when I was a kid, when I watched that, the scene when he's all white, when
that's exactly
the guys are in like the hazmat suits, that terrified me.
That terrifies every kid.
I think that might be why I didn't watch it for such a long time.
Jesus Christ.
But I'll watch a movie about sharks eating people, no problem.
The alien does live at the end, okay? Just spoiler alert. I don't know if you knew this.
But yeah, that's another iconic Spielberg movie, and again, it's something I haven't revisited in years, so I'm excited to do it. So, as Juan said, join us next week when we watch E.T. for our 3rd Spielberg movie, and that's going to wrap it up here for us. And as always, we want to thank all of our listeners and subscribers, and would like to ask you to rate and review the pod and tell your family and friends about us and help our show grow. And as always, we'd like to ask you to follow us on our socials posted in the show notes. And until next time, thanks everybody for listening. Take it easy.
Peace.
Lights down, screen up, here we go. Talking movies everybody knows. The good, the bad,